Hello, what's up YouTube? In this video I want to show you why I love Capture One and why I use it as my Go tool for all my Go software for doing the color grading and processing my raw files. So I just want to show you the advantages, and also we're just going to be doing a quick color grading to this very image I took a while back. And as you can see, it is a raw file. So I'll first of all show you why I do love Capture One. So in Capture One we have very many features that are really going to be helpful when you're going to do or before you do any editing process or processing your photos. For example, I have a couple of functions. So when you right click in Capture One, so I'm using Capture One 21, and when you right click under the toolbar right here, you can see various options. You can customize and choose whichever toolbar that you want in this shortcut section right here, and when you're done you just hit done. So in this case, when I'm going to edit, I first of all want to see if at all my image is really in focus, and if at all I have areas that are really overexposed. So for this case, I usually turn on the exposure warning, and you can see the overexposed areas are going to be red in color. And if at all I want to see if my image is really in focus, I turn on the focus mask, and you can see the area that I want focus more on is going to turn green. So the areas that are really in focus are going to be green in color, and the overexposed areas rather are going to be red in color. So in this case, I can see that my image is sharp and the overexposed areas are just very little. So what I do after that, I turn off the exposure warning, or I turn off my focus mask rather. Then I come and try to do some tiny basic adjustments right here. So I first of all come to our high dynamic range option, and this tends to do the magic for me when I'm just doing the basic correction. So I just come to the highlights and simply come and take the highlights down, and you can see that eliminates the overexposed areas just like that. And since I have a little bit more of the whites, I tend to also take down the whites just like that. And just like that, you can see the before and after quickly just by sliding this, and you can see what we have right now. So that's why I also love Capture One. So the next thing I tend to do is come into my blacks and take that down by a tiny bit. The reason for doing this is because I just want to add or bring back the blacks, but I don't take them all the way down like the way I use it in Lightroom or Camera Raw. So just take this down slightly, and I don't mess around with the contrast because I have the option that says levels right here. So under levels, I tend to click and push in my black. So this really does the magic, and it adds more contrast to the image. So when I take the blacks up to a point when the information is just starting to display, or where my histogram is just starting to rise, it adds more contrast in the image, and vice versa. When you take this up, it creates that kind of film or faded look. So I'm just going to do this and take this up to around 5. 5 looks good, and the image is really nice and contrasty. So next thing I tend to do is the whites. So you can take the whites up, and when you do this, remember the exposure warning starts to warn. So just make sure you don't clip those highlights and just leave it right there. So that is good. And the good thing about levels, you can as well color grade your images by just using levels in Capture One. So you can come to the reds, and for example, when you take this in, it adds that kind of cyan feel to your image, and you can see what it does under the reds. And when you take this side, it adds those magentas or more reds within the photo, and you can play around with these colors, but for this case I tend to leave it at this. So I've added contrast within this photo. So next thing I'm just going to be experiencing or experimenting with is we have the Luma. So let me first show you why we use the Luma Curve and not the RGB. So when you're using the RGB and maybe you are trying to reduce on the highlight intensity, you can see it affects the colors in the photo. You can see the colors are really going to be changing because you are tampering with the curve that is containing the reds, the greens, and the blues. But why I love the Luma Curve is because when you come to the Luma Curve, it doesn't affect the colors. So when I come right to the highlights and I simply knock it down, the color remains the same in the image. So you can see why I love the Luma Curve. Can just take that down slightly, and the colors are not going to be affected at all. So you can as well come right here and make another point, and you can darken it if at all you wish to. But I just feel like I want to brighten up the dark areas just like that. So I'm just going to darken those areas. Don't mind the image is turning out bright or too bright. I'm just going to take this. So you can see it is not affecting the colors. So I'm just going to undo that and also drag and undo that. So I'm just going to work on reducing the exposure in the overall image. And you can see when I hold down the alternate and click on this reset button, you can see the difference and does not affect the colors overall. So this is why I also love this. And after that, we are done doing the basic adjustments to this image. So in Capture One, usually we have layers. So why I love this is because I can apply a given color grade on a layer and later on play around with the masking option. So let me show you how we can do this and how you can make it effective to your own images. So I'm just going to come right here and I'm going to create a new field adjustment layer. So I'm just going to come right click on the plus icon and come to new field adjustment layer. So when you click on that new field adjustment layer and I hit on M, you can see it is going to apply the effects globally on the overall image. So when I'm going to hit M again to hide that mask, and I can rename this to color grading just like that. So I just want to apply the color grading on this layer and not on my background layer. So what I'm going to do basically, if at all you feel like when you're taking down the highlights and the whites of the image, if at all you feel that was not enough, you can come and also take it more or take it lower using this new layer, and you can go extreme and just take that down a little bit more to add more vibe to the image. So this is great. So I just want to color grade on this color grading layer. So I'm just going to scroll all the way down, and you can see the good thing about Capture One, we have the editor tool in Capture One. And if at all you don't have the editor tool, simply right click on this section and you come to add tool, and you can look for the editor tool and apply it or bring it to this other side. So what I love about Capture One is you can easily match the skin color or skin tone of your images using Capture One. So you can see in the color editor we have the basic, and this is more like the one for Lightroom and Camera Raw, and we have advanced, and under advanced you can see it has also a color picker tool, and we have skin tone. So the feature I really prefer to work with is skin tone, and under skin tone you can see we have a color picker tool. So by left clicking on the color picker tool and selecting it, I can come and zoom into the image and I look for the reference. You can see as for this photo we have a number of different skin tone variations. You can still have some yellows, oranges, and some magentas in some areas. So if at all you just want to match or even out those colors, you can simply look for the reference or the area you want the overall skin to look like in the photo. So I'm just going to look for that reference area, and I'm just going to be like, this is the area I want. And as soon as I click, you can see it selects the color range in that area that I have just sampled on. And the good thing is you can now come to the view selected color range option, and when you click on it, the rest of the colors that are not selected are going to turn into black and white, and you can see the selected color range. So under Capture One or in Capture One, you can come and now turn the uniformity slider up, and as you are doing that, you are going to notice that the skin color is going to start getting or looking uniform. You can see that. I hope you can see how it is now getting uniform. And let me just show you a quick before and after. I'm going to hold down Alt and click on the reset button. You can see that we had reds within the skin tone, and this is so far what we have, and the skin tone or the skin color is really matching. So I am going to continue working on the image. So I'm just going to come the saturation, and that is going to saturate more on the colors and make the skin pop a little bit more. So just going to take the saturation slightly up, and now we have the amount. So under amount, you can either add greens within the skin tone if at all you really wish to, and the opposite of green is going to be the magenta. So depending on your taste and preference as a person retouching, you can go for the look that you prefer. So for this case, I just want to add a little bit of greens within the photo, just like that. So I'm just going to take it up to around 4, and 4 looks good. So if I told them to show you a quick before and after for the image so far, this is where we started, and this is where we are right now. You can see a before and after, but this is not all. And you can, if at all you feel the image is oversaturated, make sure you always turn off the before and after slider. And when you feel like the saturation is a little bit too much, just come to this option and you can turn down the saturation. So -3 looks great, and I'm just going to come and increase on my hue a little bit more. So let's see what we have done in the color editor option. Hold down the alternate and click on this reset button, the before and after. You can see what we have, and now we have uniform skin tones or skin color. So the last thing I love to do or work with Capture One is the color balance option. So under color balance we have master, and in the master you are going to be having all the colors right here, and 3 where it shows you specific colors. For example, you can apply a specific color to either the midtones, the shadows, or the highlights. And for this case, I feel like I want to add a greenish color to my highlight. So I'm just going to come to the individual highlight. I'm just going to add a greenish color. So I'm just going to look for that color. And when I move this all the way towards the extreme, you can see it adds that color, and the intensity is too much. And as I'm moving this up, you can see this slider is going to also go along. So you can as well take it up, and reducing on the intensity, you can just take it down and look for what you really want as a person working on the image. So I'm just going to reduce on the intensity using this option, and you can as well play around with the lightness or darkness of that color that is going to be applied. So you can as well darken the image depending on that color, or you can just brighten up the image depending on how you love that color. So I'm just going to leave that at that. So the next thing I want to do, you can come and apply, for example, you want to cool down the shadows. You can just come and drag this towards the blue side, towards the extreme, and now just come and reduce or cool down the shadows if at all you wish to cool down the shadows in particular. So just cool down those shadows if at all you want. So just going to slightly cool down those shadows, just like that. And if at all you want to work with the midtones, you can as well come and work on those midtones. So just going to come to the midtones, and I feel like I should add a little bit more of oranges within the midtones, but the intensity has to be really or pretty low, so that I just warm up the image even more. And you can see how powerful Capture One is. So you can see the grade that we have right now. So let's see a quick before and after for the color balance. This is the before and this is the after our color balance, the before and the after. You can see how nice and beautiful Capture One is. So when you feel like you're done doing everything and you're comfortable with it, you can see the before and the after for the color grading. And when you feel like the intensity is a little bit overboard or it is too much, you can come and reduce on the opacity of your color grading on the image. So I'm just going to leave it the extreme for purposes of this tutorial. So next thing that you want to do, you can as well come and work with reducing or eliminating colors from particular areas using your eraser tool. For example, when you color graded the image and you just want to eliminate color from a specific area, you can just come right here and get your eraser tool. For example, you do not want to color grade the lip area, you can just come and get that and hit M on the keyboard, and you can see that the eraser has a minus tool. So you can come and reduce on the size and you brush over the lips if at all you don't want to change the lipstick or the makeup of the model. So I'm just going to hit M again because I prefer the lips looking like that in the image. So basically this is why I love Capture One, and this is how I would use Capture One to retouch or to color grade images and have the best and more even skin tone in most of the photos. So this is all for this tutorial, and if at all you love this, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe. If at all you are really loving and you just started using Capture One, Ronix from Ronix Photography, thank you for watching and see you in yet more amazing tutorials, and don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.